Welcome to the Energizing India podcast, a program that focuses on electric mobility in India, building a voice for the industry sector. My name is Ravin Mirchandani, and on this program, we focus on conversations with key industry protagonists and opinion leaders on what needs to happen to break the malice within the industry and create faster adoption for electric mobility in India. We've so far talked to regulators, grid operators, charge point operators, and a few OEMs, and today we go back to the OEM sector and speak to none other than Uday NARANG, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Omega Seiki Mobility. Uday is nurturing this company to become the Tesla of the East when it comes to cargo vehicles. Uday, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ravin. It was great to be here. Beautiful campus you've got here. I'm really excited to be here and some of the products that you're doing and some of the great work that you and your teams have been doing here. Thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you so much, Uday. It's a pleasure to have you here. You're an immense personality and we're learning a lot from you already today. I'm interested, Uday, you were born in New Delhi. You did an MBA in finance from the Stony Brook University. You stayed in New York. You were a hedge fund manager. You made a big difference to the sectors that you were in, including freight, cargo, finance. And then all of a sudden you decided you want to come back to India and create Omega Seiki Mobility in 2018. What gives?
Look, I think, in my journeys across the globe, spending 30 plus years outside of India, I left India when I was very young. Success came. I was lucky enough. I was fortunate enough at an early age. But what really made me come back, I was always India at heart. I think maybe similar to you, Ravin, you've been traveling the globe and then you've been back here. So I think what really drove me towards this was green energy and sustainability. 21 most polluted cities in the world are in our country. The future generations, your kids and the kids' kids, this is something that is going to impact our country. We've talked about building a 5 trillion economy, but if our future generations are unwell, if we have the pollution that we have today, and if this continues, we are destroying Mother Earth. So for me, green energy and sustainability was the calling. My son, who lives in Stuttgart, said, "Dad, all of this smoke," and he doesn't know the difference between pollution. He said emissions. He said, "This smoke coming out of trucks in India, what is going to happen tomorrow? How is this going to impact?" And it really had a really meaningful impact on myself. And I said, I've had enough of Wall Street. I've had enough of success. I got to go back, and I got to go back to India, Asia, and Africa and make a difference. We started doing R&D on the electrification, on electric vehicles, almost 9 years ago. We spent a lot of time doing this, and about 5 years ago came the birth of OSM to make a difference. And for me, OSM is about finding solutions to the problems, but it's bigger. Is how do I bring the emissions? How do I make India a more cleaner, a more safer for our future generations? And that was really the main reason that has driven me to come back and build OSM.
So one of the problems most entrepreneurs who've been overseas have when they come back is the mindset is very different in India. We have a very different operating environment. The business environment is incredibly complex. What are the sorts of challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them as a global leader coming to India to do business here?
Absolutely, that's such a great question, Ravin. India is one of the most toughest places I have worked in Latin America, because I was a very significant hedge fund manager. I have worked in Africa in the oil. India is an extremely tough market with regards to the business side of things, in terms of financing, in terms of people skills. A lot has changed in the last with this newer generation that we have. There's so many new young people that you have in your team, similar to what we are doing at OSM. There were challenges on the government side. There were challenges on the regulatory sides. But I think, what has changed me is that, one of my cousins who has worked with me for the last 30 years has said, in India, don't complain. If you want to work in India, don't complain. Accept for what it is. Figure out ways to work in that environment. If you're going to constantly complain, then I don't think you want to be here. And if I want to make a change for future generation, any sacrifice for me, OSM, or building the ecosystem, which people like yourself and many other people are joining in this journey, is to build the ecosystem. The pollution, the noise, all of the negativity but this is India. And I think with the younger generation that we have and the future generations that I care about, that problem, any problem, is not big enough for me. And again, having that mentality of deal with the issues. I was a hedge fund manager. I was known to be very aggressive. I was very, I was very loud. I've learned to be patient. It doesn't look like it when people meet me, I'm patient, but it is something that, for me, looking beyond the noise and working towards solutions. I have met you today, and I think this is something that I've been working on, looking for the charging side. So for me, every day in this ecosystem, there are people like yourself, there are your teams that are working on, and that gives me energy. Any problem, we'll deal with that. That's my attitude.
It's a great attitude. In fact, I was struck, Sunil and me were in Europe for a 3-week recce program, and on the way back, I was struck how we went to the richest countries in the world, for example, Germany. Everybody has a lot of money, but we were struck by the fact that nobody was happy. And coming out at Delhi airport, you feel this buzz and this energy. Everything is open, everything is easy, much easier than Europe, mind you, whether it's immigration, baggage, getting out and checking in for your next flight. But what you feel that hits you is an energy of hope. Hope is what you feel in India, and that's something that's so different from the rest of the world, and in many ways encapsulates what you just said. It's an incredibly difficult country, but it has this great hope and promise of the future, and you've got to focus on that rather than the difficulties. India was always a difficult country. I was reading a book that had letters from the East India Company sailors back in 1600 to family. And one of the repeated themes was such a difficult country. The customs regulations change. Every time we turn up, we were ready for something else. They're charging us something else. And it almost seemed like reading the letters from somebody today back home, dealing with India. It hasn't changed. So I'm interested, you talked about clean mobility. You talked about cleaning India's air. What is the specific problem that you are addressing at Omega Seiki Mobility?
Sure. For us, working on vehicles, working on technology, working with partners that can bring more safe. For me, the first point about vehicles today is safety. In our country, most of the vehicles in the electric field, prior to the last couple of years, with the likes of Ador and many other good companies that are out there, is that safety was never looked at. One life lost is way too many. For me, working on safety, working on emissions, working on quality, working on products that can reduce emissions, that can prevent the dependence on foreign oil.
So I want to actually deep dive on 2 elements of this awesome answer that you've given. The first is safety and the second is finance. Safety. You are the only OEM so far that has mentioned that as being important. I want your opinion on New Delhi. There's over 1 million electric rickshaws that are plying around the city today. All of them cheap Chinese imports are assembled. The passengers are sitting on the most unsafe batteries, and yet everybody is oblivious to the fact that this is the most unsafe environment created in the capital city of the world's 3rd largest economy. How can we address that?
Ravin, this is so personal to me. Just not only Delhi, but UP. You look at Madhya Pradesh. When I look at, and I was an analyst at Wall Street, and I analyze everything, and I know data never lies. As long as the data is looked at properly. If you look at all the electric vehicles, and if you look at the top 5 or 6 electric vehicle producers, there are 3 e-rickshaw players that nobody's heard of, and they are importing kits from China or whatever. And this is not China bashing. If you are going to buy products which are, as an OEM, that are defective and customers are going to be, then that is wrong in my view as OEMs. For what we want to do, and we are, again, OSM is about finding solutions. I think all of those vehicles are time bombs. Those
Absolutely.
Batteries, those powertrains, that safety. It's very sad that the state and the central government is allowing illegal vehicles. Now, it's not just happening here. I was just in Bangladesh. I met senior management. There was same problem there. But I am going to talk about India. We talk about electrification. Safety has to be number 1. And as I said earlier, 1 life lost is too many. We've had multiple players. They have raised billions, and they are saying it's the customer's fault. No, there's not been enough testing. The battery cells are not good. I am not saying we as an industry, this is extremely important. We owe responsibility as OEMs to the public at large. Those e-rickshaws have to go off the road. There has to be laws. There has to be regulations. In the L5 category, you're talking about the L3 category. The L5 category have to get approvals from ICAT, ARAI. There are certain restrictions. In the L3, they are saying they have it, but they are not checking. If you look, I spend time looking at the batteries, those lead acid batteries, and those batteries being used are criminal. I will say it is a criminal offense. We should make laws in this country where anybody responsible putting wrong batteries and putting our customers' lives is going to be, in India, the only way things work is put strong laws that penalize. And I think that needs to be changed. In order to fix this problem, not under OSM, but another company of mine under ADM Technologies is bringing out L3 vehicles, which are going to be cheaper than existing products. And we're going to be able to give you safety on battery, on life cycles, on emissions. So look, I'm not just complaining. I'm giving you the issue and I'm giving you solutions. I'm seeing some other players do this, but I will tell you, as a community of OEM, we are responsible for putting products right. And I'm not hearing all of my counterparts, and I'm not saying it's just me, I want all of us to be responsible. Safety first, not money first.
I love the passion that you're bringing out. That's absolutely brilliant. The second part of this, we did a podcast, a story on the e-rickshaws in Delhi, and the fact is they make 200 rupees a day net of all of their costs and expenses. So, you cannot expect a rickshaw driver to make a choice other than a L1 economic choice. This is the economic choice available to them. Therefore, it's an unsafe rickshaw where the battery pack is unsafe, the passengers are sitting on the battery pack, and it's also incredibly uncomfortable. Their center of gravity is very high. But what we also got to the bottom of during those discussions with rickshaw drivers was that the reason these rickshaws are on the road is because the people who own the fleets are politicians and policemen. And therefore, there is a vested interest to continue with this. So in that, there is some of the roadblocks that you would get in a growing economy, a developing economy like India. It will be no different in, say, Bangladesh or some of the others. I'm hoping that eventually, as a polity, we address this where there's no vested interest that compromises safety. The second element that impacts the same rickshaw drivers and also everybody else wanting to buy an electric vehicle is finance. Now, finance is available from PE funds for startup ideas who are getting 10 million, 20 million like that on something that's unproven. Fantastic, great. But the average consumer that wants to buy a rickshaw or to buy an electric truck, electric car, we tried to get a car loan for a Hyundai Kona. It took 4 months for the bank to get its head around how to do this. How do we address this?
Very, very important points, Ravin, you have touched on. The first point, look, when you're on this is a mission for me personally. And again, I'm not pushing OSM here. I'm pushing about the ecosystem and what we can do. Build good products. Build Rome and they will come. My general feeling is if I build good products, we build Rage Plus, we build Rage Plus Rapid, we build Rage Plus Swap, we build good products. I can remember when we started OSM, the vehicles were piling up in the factory and the R&D teams and the marketing teams said, Uday, I don't know, are you going to be able to pay our salary 3 months from now if this piles up? I said we would continue to only sell quality. And we did that. Jeet unhi ki hogi. Sorry, I'm using Hindi. Jeet unhi ki hogi. Jo long-term product banayenge. So my point is, whether it is politicians, whether it's local interest, we will continually walk that path. I have learned that when you build quality, over a period of time, success comes. It might not be initial, but I think that's a commitment people like ourselves, you, many other people are making, and I think that's the route we have to take. So I think we got to continually build good products. We have seen that at OSM. We are seeing that with many other players coming in. So I think over a period of time, that will change. So I think that's something that over a period of time takes time. Now, coming back on financing, this is the biggest issue. I will tell you today, I have over 50,000 vehicle demand. There was a problem with financing. What did I do? I got up and built Anglian Finvest, which started financing vehicles in electric with warranties. In Rage Plus Rapid, we're giving 6-year warranty on the vehicle, 6-year warranty on the battery, and a buyback on the battery. We want to make sure that we create that opportunity. The NBFCs, you're right, are getting involved. What I want to reach out to is the nationalized banks. I know just recently, JNK last week, bank did something in retail, but I will tell you, the banks are talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk. This needs to be done. I would reach out to the highest leadership I am so excited to see, I'm apolitical, but I see Nitin Gadkari ji and I see the different state level. They're talking about EV policy, but without financing. This is a poor country. If you have a problem in Kona for 4 months, then God bless anybody else, right? So the point is, I found a solution. I am reaching out to the World Bank. I am reaching out to IFC. I am reaching out to every organization, to ADB, to work on financing. I am willing to provide guarantees and warranties on my vehicles to be able to give them confidence. I will tell you, IC game is over. And I will tell you, anybody financing IC engines today, be careful. Be careful what your resale value will be, what you will get. And I think you just said it took you 4 months. You go and walk today into buying an IC engine, you'll get it tomorrow. They'll be ready to give you the vehicle. I would say taking no risk is the biggest risk of all. And I reach out to all the banks, and specifically, not one state bank has done this. And I'm being probably, going to get penalized for this. But I think I would like, and I'm reaching out to banks myself to work on financing, whatever uncomfortness they have on terms of, warranties, I'm willing to give this, right? So that the ecosystem builds. I was a hedge fund manager for a long time. I'm working on a fund where I will put my own money and I will take partners in, where we will set up a fund for vehicle agnostic. It's not just going to be OSM. And I am having these conversations at the highest level in many, many organizations. The World Bank and IFC work very slow. We've been working for them for quite some time, but this will take time. But I am going to put my own money to work. I am reaching out to partners. What I would really, really, really request is the state banks should get involved. The private banks also need to be involved. This will change the face of mobility. The moment we fix our financing, I will tell you, we will fill volumes. I just launched the passenger vehicle, the rural. I am working again, just like, देखिए, आजकल लोग कहते हैं सूट बूट की सरकार. I am worried about the rural India. And I am working on products for them while I'm making technology products. But please understand, 125 करोड़ भाई बहन हमारे सिटीज में नहीं रहते, विलेजेस में रहते हैं. उनके लिए प्रोडक्ट बनाइए, उनकी फाइनेंसिंग देखिए, उनका हेल्प करिए. Sorry, I know it's an English program, but I think
it's a multilingual program.
Yeah, and your customers should reach out. This should reach out at a bigger level. That we need to make sure that we are thinking about consumers. And I think financing is one of the points that I will continually shout from the rooftops. And I'm again saying, I will find solutions on my own, but the scale is needed. And I would like all the banks, and I would get the government to get and not just talk. Please take action. Yeah. Because I want to say the numbers are not showing that we did PLI schemes, big numbers, great. But what is the PLI scheme going to do if the vehicles are not being sold? See, at the end of the day, jab tak vehicles roads pe nahi honge, there is no way this will work. And I am saying, let's make it happen. And I'll try my best.
I love it. Excellent. You made a very important comment. You talked about Bharat versus India. You talked about the billion people that live in rural India. That India typically rewards the cheapest because it has no choice, as we were talking about, but to buy the cheapest because the economies are such, right? You cannot afford anything else, particularly there's no financing. Yet you are building the Tesla of the East for cargo. There is a dichotomy there, Uday. And I want to kind of probe that. How do you address that dichotomy? Because they do not reward value and technology. They reward the cheapest, which will always be Chinese because they make the cheapest cookie cutters in the world. Is this why Omega Seiki Mobility is born global? And is this why you're already looking at already exporting, in fact? Or is there a two-pronged strategy there that runs parallel?
Very good question. There's a two-prong. And when I say I want to build Tesla of the cargo, because people look up to Elon. I look up to Elon. I think, there was somebody who said, I don't welcome Elon. I welcome Elon. I welcome anybody who is a global leader in electrification. I welcome anybody that is going to make my India better. Your India better, Ravan. That is what it is. The future generations we have to take responsibility. Just putting, we have the third largest billionaire list. I want to know how many of those billionaires wanted to put money for the ecosystem. What put them to cleaner India? I would like that analysis done. And I'm saying that building billion-dollar mansions is good, but putting billions for people is also important. I'm not against capitalism. I come from Wall Street, I understand that, but we need to worry. Coming back, the reason I talk about Tesla Vista is that technology in terms of products, because high quality and volume. When you initially make a product, you also said that when you build probably charging stations, initially the cost was high, but when the volume comes in, you reduce the price. So what I'm saying is we will use that Tesla mentality that we will be able to be bold, we will come out with products, different horses for different courses. So what I want to say is I will have a two-pronged approach. I will have an approach for India where high technology doesn't always mean high cost. It means how do I effectively manage? The problem there is higher volumes, okay? Because if I can have volumes. The other idea is how do I vehicles as a service? In today's world of fintech, in today's world of financing, we've got to come out with new products that can do that. So for me, I'm running a marathon, not a sprint. This will take a lot of pain. This will take a long term. But I think, for me, and I'm so excited to see even today when we had our conversations earlier, you are taking a long-term view. This ecosystem is going to have startups, which is great. But I think the long term, एक मैं हिंदी की लाइन मेरे दिमाग में भी आ रही है. जब हम छोटे थे, maybe Ravin, you were also younger, खरगोश और कछुए की रेस में जीत कछुए की ही होती है. So I tell you, this is what I believe in. And I think that if we work towards building products, now internationally, I'm just like you, I'm born electric and I'm a global. Make in India for global. Different countries will have different quality. We are running in the Gulf. The trucks are a lot more higher quality. In ASEAN, they will be higher quality than India. Here, they will be a little bit lower. But what I want to tell you, India is something that I am committed to. The global business is started in a much, much bigger way because of our alliances in Korea, in Japan, in Europe, and in the United States. But I think the products have to be made according to a localized way. So I'm going to take this from Microsoft, think global, act local. And we have to act local.
So, Elon, you talked about how you're inspired by him. And I have to say we're inspired by your vision and your passion and energy. Yet a lot of people don't like Elon because he kind of turned the industry upside down. He challenged the status quo. It took 10 years for the industry to actually wake up and go, hang on a minute, this is real. And then everybody woke up and they've retrofitted ICE cars for electric vehicles. How has the industry in India accepted you? What has been your journey to being the man who's bringing dissonance and turning it upside down?
It's been my mother says I just had my sister lives in Pune. Pune is hometown to us. Omega has many factories here. She said, aren't you tired? It's been 4 years, 7 days a week and 20. What's driving you this? A guy who runs my research business, I was in Bangalore in a car with him day before yesterday. And he said, sir, you have the money. Why are you doing this? And I'll tell you, nothing is going to change me. 4 years ago, a lot of the bigwigs of this country didn't take me seriously. And I could see, I might not be a technology PhD, but I know people. I've spent enough time in different countries globally. बड़े-बड़े घाटों का पानी पिया है. Maybe बहुत जिंदगी जी ली. The point was, I could see people not take me seriously. But I have learned one thing. If you believe in something, and I want to tell all of your, all the people that work with you, all of your viewers, never give up. Okay? I am a very big fan also of Muhammad Ali. God bless his soul. He said one thing. If they knock you down, come back up. And if you have that mentality, if you have that, Amitabh Bachchan ji, he was almost bankrupt. At 70 plus years, he's still acting and becoming such a great actor. Never gave up. I can give you hundreds of examples. So what I'm saying is, people now are taking, somebody, a very learned man of the industry, day before yesterday at dinner said to me, people know OSM, but they're also wary of OSM. So my point is that it's not about OSM for me. My journey is about helping my future generations.
So let's talk about your funding journey, Uday. Is OSM self-funded? Are you looking eventually to list? What are your own aspirations?
A very, very, very good question. Up to now, every single dollar has been my money. Like yourself, I was a hedge fund manager, and it was in the hedge fund world, it's a 2 and 20 model. You get 2% fees and 20% profits with no risk. I put my money where my mouth is, and I felt, let me build OSM. I'm opening up a factory tomorrow in Pune. We're going to open up Chennai. We're working up globally. I have not raised a single dollar till today. Now, I will tell you that the growth and the aspirations, there is the scale that I'm talking about, requires R&D centers, investments, people. I have open list of over 300 people right now, and this is going to continue to be higher. But I'm saying that at certain level, I will only take strategic partners. I don't want fast money. Fast money is good. I'm not going to say there's a lot of young people that get $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, and that 5 turns to 20, and that's great. But I will only work with strategic partners that have a long-term vision. I am not here to sell OSM and live on a beach in Marbella or on the shores of Dubai. I want to be here. This is my country. This is my home. I have lived abroad, but I will tell you, for me, it is building. So when the appropriate time is, when the right partners come, we will. It is not going to stop my journey. I will continue to put everything. I can say this with a shadow of fact, I will sell everything I have for this mission. And I'm not going to say, for me, if I lose everything, I'll still come back. So for my vision is, we will do an IPO, maybe end of 23, early 24.
Is it an Indian IPO or is it an...
It depends. It depends because we're discussing multiple levels. But I am focusing right now on building better products. I'm a disruptor. I'm going to make everybody's life miserable, right? That's definitely going to be there, right? I'm going to make R&D centers that are 10 times bigger than me, right? I want all of you. And you know why? Not because I want to make your life miserable, because I want you to come up with a better product. And if you come up with a better product than me, that's better for the ecosystem. That's a lower cost. There's more efficiency. So see, it's I'm very complicated this way. In the sense is, if the ecosystem wins, I win.
So talking about making people's life miserable, the last question we ask is the same question we ask to all the talent that comes to our podcast. And I apologize for the frivolous nature of this question, but it brings out a very pointed answer always. And the question is this, Uday, if you had the opportunity to be the Prime Minister of India for one day, just one day, and you could make any decision you wanted to facilitate faster adoption of electric mobility in India, what would that decision be?
That's a great question, and I won't even flinch about it. I got it in my mind right here. I would make sure that we kick the behinds, I'm being very, very, kick the behinds of the chairmen of all the state banks and say, look at this, find me a solution of financing. And I'm going to say as an OEM, I'll give you the answers. Financing, financing, financing. If we don't fix financing, EV story, you can build PLI schemes, you can give me all of this razzmatazz of, billion-dollar factories, super factories. जब तक प्रोडक्ट हमारे 125 करोड़ भाई बहन अफोर्ड ही नहीं कर सकेंगे, जब उनके पास पैसे ही नहीं होंगे, तो who will buy that? So again, I'll say in Hindi, मैं मुद्दे की बात पे आता हूँ. Sit the financing and you'll see the game.
Great answer. Uday, I'm loving your energy. It's been amazing to have you on the show. You have a passion that you don't very often see in any industry. We were privileged to have you in the Artemis studio today. Thank you so much for making the time and all the gyan that you've given us. We look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
Thank you so much. And it was great to be here. I really appreciate it. And awesome. Really, really my day. It's been so much positive. It has energized me to go back and work even harder to see when I see things like that. Anytime, mate. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.